Congressman Byron Donalds joins us now. Congressman, first off, what would you think of that Democrats going very critical of the president in Munich? You have Newsom saying he's stupid. You have AOC saying he's an autocrat. And you have Senator Coons talking about how bad the foreign policy is. We're abandoning our allies. That's not the way we usually talk overseas, is it?
No, but this is what happens when you have a Democrat Party that doesn't have real solutions. And so what they have to create is an environment where it's us versus them. And what they're trying to do is just be against Donald Trump so they can have something to stand for. But the truth is they don't have any real policies that are going to make life better or even improve our foreign policy, because we saw their policies under Joe Biden's administration. AOC clapped for all of them. Coons voted for all of them. Newsom supported all of them. And it was disastrous for America. So they're trying to really reassert themselves to gain power politically. The only way they can do that is to oppose Donald Trump. So they're going to say whatever they need to say to oppose him, whether it's based in reality or not. And the truth is, it's not based in reality. This is all politics. It's all performative. It's just for them to try to win an election this November.
We saw core inflation. I know you have a financial background. We saw core inflation drop. We saw inflation drop. We saw the job numbers come in strong. The GDP is over 4. It could come in over 5. Now, it doesn't mean the prices are all going down, but listen to how Hakeem Jeffries paints it. Cut 5.
The state of the real economy in America right now is a mess. There is an affordability crisis that is not a hoax. It is very real. People are struggling with housing costs. People are struggling with healthcare costs. People are struggling with the cost of groceries. People are struggling with childcare costs. People are struggling with the cost of running a small business, particularly as a result of the Trump tariffs. The state of the real economy is a mess.
So how do you paint it?
The exact opposite of what Hakeem Jeffries said. Because if you notice, he said a lot of things, but he didn't have a solution of what Democrats would do. And that's how you know he's just running his mouth. Here's the truth of the Trump economy. Inflation is under control for the first time in 5 years, and that is because of Donald Trump and his economic policy. Wages adjusted for inflation are up for the first time in almost 6 years, and that's because of Donald Trump's economic policies. Economy is growing very strongly because of Donald Trump and his policies. If the Democrats actually had an economic record to stand on, how come none of those metrics occurred when Joe Biden was president, Nancy Pelosi was speaker, and Chuck Schumer was leader in the Senate? It didn't occur because their policies are dumb. They don't work. They don't stand for true economics. They don't help people in their lives. They don't help people afford goods and services. They don't help people buy homes. What Democrat policy unfortunately does is it creates shortages. It creates inflation. It actually slows down the economy. It creates stagflation. And that's not just the Biden years. Go back to the Obama years. During the Obama years, they were saying that the time of the American economy growing at 3% in a year was something that was from post-World War II that's never going to happen again. And then Donald Trump became president, and what happened to the economy before COVID? It was growing. Everybody was getting ahead. What's happening now? It's growing again, and people are getting ahead. The Democrats don't have a leg to stand on because they embrace terrible socialist economic policies that have never worked.
So we have Congressman Byron Donalds, our guest. Congressman, also you have a situation where New York is being compared to Florida and Texas. And it looks so not only is, we're still a financial capital here, the New York financial services industry still remains more productive, $330 billion to about 71% more than Texas, but they're growing a lot faster. Wells Fargo opened up a new Dallas campus. We have more J.P. Morgan Chase employees now in Dallas than New York City with that brand new building built. And their budget is way over your budget. But you have more people.
Yeah, I mean, look, New York's terrible. They've really messed it up. The Democrats, and this is now the Democrat Socialists who run that place. And it wasn't just Mamdani. It was Bill de Blasio before him. They've screwed up New York City. Companies are leaving. Productive people are leaving. They're going to Florida and they're going to Texas because we embrace common sense, economic, and conservative policies. It's really not that hard Common sense runs our states, runs Florida. Governor DeSantis has been a true leader in this regard, and that's why people are continuing to choose our state. And it's not just New York. Look at California. California decided to do a stupid billionaires tax. So guess what happened? The billionaires are leaving, and they're coming to Florida, and they're going to Texas. I think it's important that the American people understand that this stuff is not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. You got to stand for common sense, and you got to stand for economics. And when you do that, you create a good society that people want to be a part of. So
New York City elected a socialist, a Ugandan socialist, who is way over his head, can't even shovel the snow, can't get them to pick up the garbage. I don't know what happened to sanitation, but they just not into it anymore. I guess they want to do other things, or they have exciting hobbies. Here's the mayor yesterday who says, hey, we're buried in debt. I got to raise taxes, cut 35.
We want to work with Albany to raise personal income taxes by 2% on the 33,000 New Yorkers earning more than $1 million a year, and to raise corporate taxes on the most profitable corporations. And we know that for far too long, New Yorkers have given far more to the state than what we have received in return. It is time to end the drain. If we cannot follow this first path, we will be forced onto a much more damaging path of last resort, one where we have to use the only tools at the city's disposal: raising property taxes and raiding our reserves. If we cannot pursue the first path, the only option we have remaining is the second path.
So he says, I'm going to cut into my rainy day fund, but he flat out says it. The problem is rich people.
He's crazy. He's crazy. Look, what they need to do in New York is what they should have done a long time ago. They have to cut the city's budget. They can't just continue to do all these various programs they have in that budget, making outlandish promises that they can't deliver on. And you have to embrace free market capitalism so you can grow New York's economy. That is the way this works. That's the way this always works. Just running the more tax increases now on the millionaires in New York, you know what's going to happen? He's going to be Realtor of the Year in Miami, because I'm going to get more New Yorkers who are going to say, enough of this. I'm leaving. I'm not putting up with it. And look, Milton Friedman said it best. You judge the policy of a society by the movement of feet. And when people leave your area, that's because your policy sucks. That's why people are leaving California. That's why they're leaving Illinois, and that's why they're leaving New York, because these Democrats suck. They don't know how to run real policies. They don't know how to run local economies. They don't know how to run governments. Mm-hmm. They're out of control, and when they get caught not having enough money, their only answer is to go tax more. That's not how this works. It's never going to work that way.
Congressman, when's your primary for governor?
August 18th, down here in Florida. Things are going great. We want everybody to get out, want to earn their votes. Go to my website, ByronDonalds.com. Follow me on social media, @ByronDonalds. We're really excited about leading Florida into the future.
What do you take away from Rick Scott's 8 years, and what are you taking away from Ron DeSantis' 7.5?
Well, Governor Scott, now Senator Scott, his time was really having to rebuild Florida's economy out of the financial collapse of 2008. So that's what Rick Scott spent his time doing, and he did a great job. Governor DeSantis' role was actually protecting our state from woke indoctrination and crazy liberal policy that was trying to infest every part of America's society. It started with COVID and it went from there, but it was really about common sense policies, ignoring the radical left, ignoring the political dogma, and actually doing what's right about Florida. And what we saw out of Ron DeSantis is now 7.5 years. You've seen a great migration of people from other states who came to Florida and said, you know what, this place makes sense and it works. I want to be a part of this. And it's been based on conservatism. That's what both governors have brought to our state. That's why we're the best state in America today.
And I was in Fort Myers on Saturday, and it was great. But I saw large swaths still haven't been rebuilt yet from the flood. Are you guys still struggling with insurance like some other states?
We are, but I think it's gotten a lot better. Again, this is credit to the governor. They did some major tort reforms in our state, which is starting to stabilize our insurance markets, bring new carriers into Florida, and that's a good thing. In terms of rebuilding from Hurricane Ian, that was always going to take, about three to 4 years. We were really devastated by that hurricane. We had 16 feet of storm surge in Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island. And so it was always going to take some time to rebuild a lot of that stuff. But I got to tell you, the recovery efforts happened very, very fast, and it's really because of the leadership of Ron DeSantis. He did a great job leading our state during not just Hurricane Ian in my district, but in every hurricane that's hit our state.
Congressman, we have Wes Moore says he's not being invited to the White House because of race, even though President Trump, it says, because it's his performance. What do you say to that?
I'd say Wes Moore is looking for a talking point. If he's not invited, it's because of his poor performance leading Maryland and, quite frankly, idiotic policy that actually has that state falling behind when it should be thriving.
Go get him. Congressman Byron Donalds, thanks so much.
Take it easy.